All right, so we're back with Alberta Skylights Elite Roofing with Ryan.
Hey, Trevor, how you doing?
Doing great, man. Doing great. So today the hot topic is roof repairs versus replacement. What's more cost effective in Edmonton? So you've been in roofing for a number of years, a number of decades. You are a Red Seal roofer.
1999, I started roofing, actually.
1999. Holy crap.
Turn of the century.
26 years you've been a roofer and been in the roofing industry. So your company does mainly skylights and roofing.
Skylights and steep slope roofing, yep.
There you go. So all the fun stuff that Edmonton homeowners have to deal with regarding roofs. So today it's, okay, when is it time to repair them? When is it time to replace them? Hopefully we can, get people in the audience can find out, what the best thing is for that. Question number one. Yeah, let's start with the basic stuff, okay?
Sure.
What are some of the most common roofing issues that you see here in Edmonton?
Common roofing issues that we see here in Edmonton, I guess it would really depend on, in the context, how old is the roof? Are you talking about a roof that's reasonably new? What are the issues that we're seeing? Or are you talking about a roof that's, let's go midterm, 15 years old, and a roof that's in late stages that needs to be replaced? New roofing issues that we would commonly see are people will go and they don't nail their shingles down properly. They want to flap in the wind. People didn't install them correctly, so you're ending up with leaks, things of that nature there. A lot of times we'll see whenever people get their roof replaced, they will not replace their skylights with them. When you don't replace your skylights with your brand new roof, now you've gotten, a 25, 30-year-old skylight on a brand new roof system. All of a sudden, that doesn't work very well anymore. The skylight that was fine beforehand is all of a sudden giving grief. Of course, the roofers always say, oh, well, skylights always leak. Well, the problem is that skylight was sealed. It was working properly. You came, you took all the shingles apart, you were jostling, you were moving, you wrecked the seals in there. All of a sudden, that becomes a problem. So that's a pretty common one for us, especially being that we focus on skylights. When we're there doing the skylight, we also like to take a look at the rest of the roof. Other common issues we see on new installs, shingles aren't lined up properly. The guys don't have, proper course alignment on there. A lot of times we'll see whenever they take and they put vents in, they use nails on the bottom of the vents. They don't take and use cladding screws. They use silicone. Let me rephrase, they'll use roofing cement rather than silicone to seal those off. Roofing cement is not UV solid, so it'll degrade over time. So those are some things we see in the new applications. If you move into roofs that are, say, 12, 14 years old, you have to keep in mind shingle technology has come a long way. So it used to be a 15-year-old roof, 15-year-old roof was pretty much garbage. I mean, it was already done. You'd be lucky to get 20, 22 years out of them. With the new fiberglass shingles that have been around since, really predominant since about 2007 to 2012 was when they really took over. We see a lot of roofs that are 15, 18 years old, still in really good shape. What we see on those ones is the sealing strip has started to fail. So the sealing strip is a layer of adhesive that goes between the two shingles. It melts them together. Whenever it melts them together, that's what gives them a lot of their wind resistance. That sealing strip starts to let go, maybe 15 years in, all of a sudden your shingles start flapping in the wind. They become a little bit more prone to blow off. So we do have a procedure for that. We can take and hand seal those shingles back down, get you a lot more life out of them. So that's just a maintenance issue in that case there. Then when you start getting into older roofs, let's say, organic roofs, the ones that are not fiberglass that are, 20 years old, they're usually curled up pretty bad. A lot of the fiberglass ones, we're seeing some of the early fiberglasses were cracking. That was an issue even back in the day. They're cracking, so all of a sudden you're starting to get damage with that there. Lots of granule loss you can see in a lot of in those areas there. So those are some things to watch. You're cleaning out your gutters, or after a good rainstorm, you look where your downspouts are on the ground. There's a bunch of granules there. That's usually a pretty good sign things are coming up for due. But just like anything, I mean, you buy a brand new car, you've got to get the oil changed, right? You've got to do maintenance on these things. A roof is worth as much as a lot of cars, and people just, okay, it's on, out of sight, out of mind. Well, that doesn't always turn out so well, right?
Yeah.
Until you see the stain in your ceiling, right? You wouldn't wait until you see a giant slick on the driveway before you realize, oh, hey, I got to do something with my oil. you got to look at these as a maintenance issue, right? Yeah,
for sure. And, roofs are one of those things that we do kind of take for granted that they are, installed properly. But, bad things do happen and they do wear out over time just because of weather.
Yeah, they're out of sight, out of mind, and it's doing its job, so it's good to go, right?
That's right. So how can a homeowner tell if the roof needs a repair or if they should go with full replacement?
If you're losing a lot of shingles on a regular basis, it's probably a good indicator you're going to need to get it replaced. If your roof has more granules on the ground and in the gutters than it does on the roof, probably a good sign you're looking at a replacement. I mean, those are the early warning signs that your roof is kind of coming up on there. A lot of times a roof can be repaired and prolonged for quite a while. I mean, I could tell you some pretty weird looking, like totally shot roofs that are still keeping the water out. How far you want to push it, that's up to you. Simple answer would be, if you're concerned about it, give someone a call. Give us a call. We'll come take a look. We'll let you know what's where. I mean, a lot of times we can do some maintenance that's going to get you a long, long time out of your roof.
So in your experience, what factors usually tip the scale toward a replacement than a repair?
If you're getting a lot of leaks, if you're having significant portions of your roof that are, giving you grief, that kind of gets into it. I would kind of take a look at, we have to look at it as a whole. If you've got a giant roof and we've got a tiny little section that's giving grief, maybe for an example, you've got your roof done 15 years ago, your upper roof drains onto the lower one and they did not extend the downspout into there and it's washed all the granules out and that section of roof is shot. Okay, That's a small repair. We can fix that. A lot of times valleys, the two sections of the roof that come together, all the water gets in there and runs all the granules off if they didn't use a metal flashing. A lot of times, we can just replace that valley. That's kind of one of the things that you can take a look at in there. When it starts to get to be the point where, your roof is 3 to 7 years left, 5 years left in it, estimated life, and you've got significant repairs, maybe it's time to look at getting it replaced. My high pressure sales tactic is this: I can always get you some more life out of your roof, but at what point does it just make sense to flip it apart? Your roof will never be this inexpensive again. This is the lowest price your roof is ever going to be. If you plan on being in your home for a long time, being proactive, getting that in there, putting a 50-year shingle on there that's going to solve that problem, whatever makes sense for you.
So Ryan, you've been in roofing for a long time. What is your process of evaluating the condition of a roof during consultation or inspection?
Yeah, so the first thing that I'd like to do is I'll walk around from the ground and I'll try and get what I call a lay of the land. What I'm looking for in that spot there is there significant damage to your eave troughs? Is there a bunch of shingles on the ground? Can I see anything that jumps out from the ground? A lot of times from the ground, I'll see nails that have backed out, so your shingles have little fish mouths in them. That tells me something's not nailed properly. I can see a lot from the ground. I'll set my ladder up. The next thing I want to look for is, what is your underlay? Do you have a drip edge? So I'm going to lift up the bottom of that shingle. I'm going to see in there, is there a flashing there that's going to help get the water into your gutters? What kind of underlayment do you have? Is it felt paper? Do you have a leak barrier in there? Now, none of those things are really going to talk to the longevity of your roof, but they give me an indicator of how that roof was put together. A lot of companies don't use drip edge, and if you're skipping out on a crucial piece like that, it tells me you probably cut other corners in there to keep that cost down. Whereas if you have drip edge, everything is lined up properly, okay, it's starting to look like it was a better install. When I get on the roof, the next things I'm going to be looking for is, as we'd mentioned earlier, is there excessive granule loss? Is there spots where the downspouts have washed away the granules or the valleys are all shot? If in that case, well, it gives you an indicator that the roof has already been on there quite a while. Let's see what the rest of the roof looks like. One thing I love to do is I'll take and just in random spots on your roof and I'll try and pull the shingles apart. What I'm doing in that case there is I'm testing that seal. I want to see how well those shingles are glued together. You can actually feel how old a roof is. This is more of an art than it is a science, but when you're walking on a roof, you can actually feel, like, is it crunchy or is it supple? Is it flexing? Is it doing, when asphalt dries out, it gets brittle. So as I'm walking on your roof, if I'm hearing crunch, 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 that's a roof that's kind of on its way out. Depending on the type of roof you have, if it's organic or if it's fiberglass, we can take a look at the ventilation. Not so much in what the vents are there, but how the vents are working. With a roof that's organic, the way that those shingles curl or claw will tell me what your ventilation is doing. Also look at the bottom 4 to 6 feet of your roof and seeing, is there a bunch of damage in that spot? Is that ice dam? So your roof will tell us a lot of things. If we start taking your roof apart for a different repair or a service, we can see, we can look at the nails and see, is there a bunch of rust on them? That's going to give us some indication as to what your ventilation is doing. So there's a lot of little things that we can take a peek at there. I also like to take a look at all of your vents. Are they damaged? Are they beat to snot with hail? You can usually see a lot of hail splotches on them. It tells me your roof's had a lot of hail damage over the years. Maybe that's something we've got to look at. So there's all sorts of clues we can look for.
All right. Now, given our Alberta weather, what kind of roofing materials tend to be the best for our climate?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question. Alberta's a big place. If you're talking maybe Red Deer South, they have a lot more hail than we do Red Deer North. Well, I guess in Ponoka areas, but either way, in Edmonton, we get hail. It's not as common as it is in other spots. I like the asphalt shingle, and everyone kind of, oh yeah, there's so many better options out there. And yeah, you're right. There are better options. There's Gem EuroShield out there. There's some F-Wave synthetic synthetic shingles. There's some really, really nice products out there. But let me ask you a question. If you take this product that's worth 3 times the amount of shingle and has a tenth of the available installers out there, and you put that on your roof, okay, now you've got a lifetime solution. Or you take just an entry-level asphalt shingle, and it's worth, well, like I say, a third of it. You get 25 years out of that entry-level asphalt shingle, you're still further ahead going that way. So, I mean, asphalt has always been the value option. It looks good. There's a million people that can deal with it. It's just kind of there's a reason there's more asphalt sold than anything else, right? I really like the Gem EuroShield product if you're in a spot where you have architectural controls, a lot of houses that have shakes in there. The Gem is really, really nice in that it's an Alberta product made out of recycled tires. We've done quite a few of them. It looks really, really nice. A lot of times from the ground, you can't even tell it's something else. The guys like using it because it goes on reasonably quick, and it's also pretty much hail proof. So if you're in a spot where you're getting a lot of hail, that might be a good option for you guys in that area too. So
nice.
Those would be the 2 that I would say are probably the most common. There's also things like stone-coated steel and steel roofs, and I'm not a big fan of the metal roofing, but there's some really, really nice products out there for it too.
Okay, so best value?
Asphalt.
Asphalt?
100%.
All right.
Asphalt's 100% the value.
Awesome. Now, are there specific signs that Edmonton homeowners should watch for after a heavy snowfall or rainstorm?
After a heavy snowfall, you're going to want to watch for, is the roof getting a lot of ice buildup on there, especially if you've just had your roof done in short while before that. The reason you want to look at that is if your roofing contractor came through and they didn't do your ventilation properly, or they added vents in a way that isn't actually working, it's not unified and balanced, you're going to end up with ice damming, and that can cause a lot of damage inside your home. Further, even if that water does not get into your home, it's really, really hard on your eave troughs. It's really, really hard on the bottom, 4 to 6 feet of your roof, having all that ice in there. Don't go up there beating it with an axe. You'll be calling me to fix your roof in no time if you do that. If you're having a lot of ice dams, give us a call. We'll come take care of it in our own way. After a good storm, things you wouldn't want to see is shingles in your yard, right? Once again, talking about a significant amount of granules on the ground, a lot of waterfalls washing those granules off. Yeah, that's an issue. I'm going to put a little caveat on that one. If your roof was just replaced, say within the last 6 months, and you get a good storm and you find a whole bunch of granules on the ground, that's normal. That's part of the process. The way that shingles are manufactured, the asphalt runs through, the shingles run through in the hot asphalt, granules get poured on. Some get embedded very well, some somewhat, some not at all. They call them traveler granules. You open the bundle, they come through, there's always some loose granules in there. Usually after the first year, all of those loose granules go away. So don't panic if your roof is new and you end up with a whole bunch of granules on the ground after a good rainstorm. That's just par for the course. If your roof is 7 years old and that happens, that's a symptom. That's not right.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, do you find that insurance ever plays a role in the decision to repair or replace? How does that work?
Insurance typically comes in place in Alberta. Well, let me rephrase. Insurance typically comes in place in the Edmonton market only under a handful of circumstances. We do not see a tremendous amount of hail, but if there is a big hail event, yes, the insurance can come into effect with that. Wind events. If your roof experiences what we call blow-offs, a big heavy windstorm comes through and all of a sudden half of your roof is on the ground, yes, that could be an insurance claim that you'd want to talk to in there. And another one that you might want to see is like in fire, which, I mean, if your house catches on fire, you've got other issues than your roof at that point. So I'd say those are the main ways that insurance is going to come in place. We see a lot of people who will have an ice dam on their house, and then they call their insurance and say, hey, I've got this problem. Well, insurance isn't going to fix the ice dam. They might fix the damage that was caused by the ice dam. So you still, as the homeowner, are responsible for maintaining your own home. Same thing with skylights. People, hey, my skylight leaked. what's going to happen? Okay, well, your insurance might come in and help you fix the interior damage, but they're not going to fix the skylight, and they won't help until you've done that skylight. Further, we're seeing a lot more people in our market where their roof is still in good shape and their insurance is calling them and saying, hey, your roof is this old, you need to replace it or we're not offering you coverage on that anymore. It's new. It's been coming on more and more in the last 3 to 5 years. A lot of times you have roofs that have 50-year warranties on them. They're still in really good shape. The insurance company says, 25 years, you need to get a new roof, whether it's in good shape or not. So we'll go through, we'll do an inspection on there, give you a report. You could take it back to your insurance and say, well, it's got a good warranty on it. This is what the manufacturer says. This is what the installers say. Insurance, they're really covering their own butts lately. I mean, all the fires that they've been having, all the storms in Calgary, they're trying to minimize their liability quite a bit. They used to be what was called replacement value on your roof. So suppose some shingles blew off and they say, okay, well, Trevor, you got to go and get your roof replaced. Contractor comes in, that's $12,000. Okay, here's a check for $12K. You get that done minus your deductible. Now they're going into what's called actual cash value. So they'll take a look at that and they'll say, well, Trevor, your roof was 14 years old. We're going to give you a check for $5K. Figure it out, and you're on the hook for the rest. So insurance, they're doing their own thing right now. They're really trying to cover their own liability, but they are playing a bigger portion of what we see. We've actually even seen insurance companies call the owners and say, well, you've got a skylight and it's of this age. You need to get your skylight replaced. That's news to me. I don't even know how they know they're there, but obviously they do. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would be in the report, I guess, when they buy the house, I suppose. It's probably what it is.
Yeah.
Now, how does energy efficiency or insulation factor into the decision between a roof repair or replacement?
Insulation in your roof plays a fairly large part of the entire system. If your insulation is inadequate, you're going to end up with a lot more heat in your attic. You're going to end up with a warmer house, obviously, but that heat is also going to help to degrade your shingles. As far as what caused the shingles to fail, that's what I'd want to take a look at what your insulation is. So if your roof is supposed to last 50 years and it's 17 years old and it's failing, clearly there's something wrong. I want to figure out why. One of the things we're going to look for is your ventilation and your insulation. A lot of roofers like to say, oh, you need more ventilation, you need more ventilation. I'm of a different mindset on that. We have to find out if your insulation is adequate for your ventilation or if your ventilation is adequate for your insulation. Theoretically, never reality, but theoretically, if you had zero heat loss through your insulation, why would you need ventilation? Ventilation is to get hot, warm air out of your attic. Yes, there's solar gain, but effectively, in a theoretical world, you wouldn't need it. No insulation is perfect. So if your insulation is really, really weak and it's dumping a tremendous amount of heat into your attic, we need to take a look at your ventilation, make sure that your roof is going to last properly. We're kind of fortunate we have a partnership with GAF, and they send us a report for all of our houses, and it actually lays out what they expect for ventilations on those houses. So it really takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. Now, that report has never actually inspected your house. It's just a quick look over, but they tell us this is what you should have for your soffits, this is what you should have for your exhaust vent, make sure everything is going to work together. So it really gives us a quick look to see, hey, everything is in spec on this one. Insulation does play a big part of it. We take a look at ice damming, for example. If you've got a lot of ice buildup, that's heat loss. Ventilation isn't strong enough to get that heat out of there. You have that in there. A lot of people say, well, add more vents. I say keep the heat in the house where it belongs. I don't even do insulation, but I'll assess your insulation and let you know what I think. You can make that decision for yourself, right? I would rather you solve your problem, have a more comfortable home, and solve your roofing issues, right?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. If somebody's planning to sell their home soon, does it still make sense to invest in a full roof replacement?
Absolutely. You would be naive to think that if your roof needs to be replaced and you're selling your house, you're not going to pay for that. One way or another, you're paying for that. Whether the new homeowner comes in and says, yes, I need this roof is going to be replaced, I'm going to take $15,000 off the asking price of the home, or whether you just choose to do that on your own. What I like to do whenever you're trying to sell your home and it needs a roof is here's how I go about it. Warranties are only transferable usually one time. So, Trevor, you're selling your house. I would come to you and I would say something to the effect of, let me take and put together a roofing package for you, but we are not going to install this. We're going to choose a roofing system, and you're going to pay for that. Whenever you sell the house, you're going to say it has a brand new roof. Mr. New Homeowner, you pick the color you think is going to look best on your new home. The house is going to close on this date. we'll get that roof done between then, and we will register that warranty to that person first off. Therefore, they're the original owner. You as the seller, you're only going to pay for what the actual cost of that roof was. Now they can't use that as part of the negotiation tactics to take money off of your thing. So it's actually the least expensive way for you as a seller to actually sell your home, in my view.
Nice. So you get to save that value. You're not having to, give up something in the sale in order to make it happy, make them happy for the person who's buying the house.
Exactly. And then for the person who's buying the house, I mean, who's to say they're going to like the color you chose for it? So now they get to be the original owner with full warranty and full transferability, and they get to choose the color of it. So it just eliminates a lot of that, back and forth. I think it's an ideal time to get your roof replaced before you sell it. Just make it part of the process.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that's a good program that they have.
Another thing that we do on there is we also have financing. So if you're looking at this and you're saying, well, I don't want to spend all this money on a house I'm going to sell, we can defer those payments. So we defer the payments for 60 days. You sell your home, you pay it off. It's no interest, problem solved, right? Mm-hmm. It's the least money out of your pocket and the simplest way of getting things done.
Yeah, that works. That's really good. Smart move. So if somebody is on the fence, what's your best advice to help them navigate and make the right call between a repair or replacement?
Best thing you can do is just call for an inspection. Maybe you pay for a $197 inspection fee. You get a written report, shows you everything that's going on in there. You can make the decision that's best for you. A lot of times, simple repairs, if this is not common, but if you said, I'm going to throw $1,000 to maintain this roof, we could do a lot of repairs and maintenance for $1,000. Usually they're a couple $100. It's not ridiculously expensive. When it starts to get into the point where it's very expensive, obviously we're going to tell you that before we start doing any of the work. You're going to know what you're going up against. But roofing repairs, maintenance, it's actually quite reasonable. It's not an arduous thing. We're not doing heart surgery. We're maintaining a roof. Yeah. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's not HVAC. All right. Well, thanks so much, Ryan.
Yeah,
as usual, like you always provide a wealth of information for roofing and skylights. Guys, if you are looking for a new roof or if you have some questions, want to get a roofing inspection,
just hit us up on our website, give us a call, drop us an email. Love to hear from you.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.